So now let's move to the last segment of our session, which is a fireside chat with a social entrepreneur. His name is Abbas Zaidi. He's from Pakistan. He's a social entrepreneur and a peace activist. Ali, welcome. And you can see here. So, Ali, I'm delighted to have you with us to close this session. Back in 2016, you were selected by Kofi Annan and the Kofi Annan Foundation as one of the 10 young leaders to drive a global youth movement to fight violent extremism. And this was in recognition of the work that you had been doing for many years already to fight for pluralism, interfaith harmony, and peace in Pakistan, a country that is fraught by social and religious divides. So how did it all start for you?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think in certain contexts, you are not pushed into starting something, you are pulled into it. I think the situation in Pakistan, growing up, I studied aeronautical engineering. I had nothing to do with activism, with peace, with extremism. But then situation in Pakistan became so bad. There were bomb blasts, there were killings almost every week. So I decided that if I can't make a contribution to make my society better, what will happen? And that's how I think I was pulled into it. And it's been a long, long time now. I was only 18 years old when I started my activism back in 2007. Yes, I think it is not a privilege that I can afford to not do this. I think it's my responsibility to make a positive contribution in the society. And the biggest cause that appeals to my heart and my spirit is then working against extremism that I feel has really destroyed Pakistan.
And can you tell us how you do that, like with a few examples? How do you fight or prevent extremism in Pakistan?
Sure. So we say there are two strategies to counter extremism. One is you counter a narrative, an extremist narrative that exists in a neighborhood, within the media, that is often propelled by extremist organizations themselves. The second is a preventive approach. You build resilience in communities that they do not support extremist outfits. Whenever they enter their neighborhoods, their communities, they are resilient enough to fight them back, in the realm of ideas, I mean, of course. And this is distinctly different to counter terrorism, which is kinetic operations or military operations to dismantle terrorist organizations. So what we do is, we work with young people, we work with women, we work with marginalized communities, religious minorities across Pakistan, in neighborhoods, on the ground. We work with them to develop counter-narratives that we think can discourage or debunk or rebut the extremist narrative that is prevalent in their area. And then we train the young people, we give them resources to do campaigns, to do advocacy, and then we engage policymakers with this change that is taking place. And through that, we use different tools and methodologies. We use arts, culture, we use music, we use technology, we use digital innovation, we use many approaches like education for it as well. So, yeah.
I remember one of your projects is using hologram technology. Can you share a bit about that one?
Yeah. So, we were researching on the credible messenger effect in social psychology, which is a messenger that is giving you a message that is countering your existing narrative has to be a credible messenger. So when we did that research, we found out that the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he is a credible messenger for majority of young people. And he died 75 years ago. So the only way to reinvent him was to make either a movie or to do a very innovative campaign. We thought many movies have been made, many documentaries have been made, we don't want to do that. What we did was then we innovated a community hologram in which Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, would come like a ghost in front of you in your community. So this is a life-size hologram, like 7 feet. And Jinnah would come and tell the young people of the country that he founded that they need to be better human beings. You know, they need to care about human rights. They need to dispel extremist narratives. They need to let go of violence and stuff like that. So it was a hugely successful project. It won the Nelson Mandela Award 2021 as well. And we have reached out to millions of young people in bazaars, in universities, in public spaces, basically. So yeah.
So all of these sound very good, but it has nothing to do with the topic of or it's far from the topic of our session. However, very recently, with your organization, HIVE, you have been very active in providing relief to the victims of natural disaster. What was the trigger for you, and how did you integrate more environmental considerations into your work that was focused on violence prevention?
Yeah. So in the last 15 years, Pakistan has faced 2 mammoth floods. The scale of these floods have been crazy, you know. Hundreds of millions of people at times have been affected, 2/3 of Pakistan. So I volunteered a lot. I mean, young people affiliated with me under my leadership volunteered a lot during the 2010 floods. And during that, we realized that these floods aggravate the condition of extremism in Pakistan. They aggravate conflicts in the country because of the sheer fact that people who are marginalized are disproportionately affected by them. You know, women, transgender community, LGBT community, and also religious minority community. You know, they're disproportionately impacted by them because they already suffer from intersectional marginalization. You know, and that is when the realization came to us that out of our lived experience, we see these communities going back 10 years after a natural disaster like floods has struck. And it is very important then to integrate disaster management, disaster relief, and climate mitigation work with the work that we do. Because without that, we will be missing a huge link that is directly and indirectly in both ways, directly and indirectly causing extremism, you know, causing inequalities, causing people to be at war with each other and compete for resources. So that's how we integrated that work in our broader counter-extremism work.
Now, you can't become a climate expert overnight. So what does it take to help social entrepreneurs like you or civil society organizations in Pakistan that build peace to actually address the links between violence and the environment?
I think it would take a lot, because we live in a world which is organized in silos. There are echo chambers. People who are working in health are only working in health. Then we have the tech. Then we have peace building. Then we have, you know, climate activists and stuff. So these silos do not really cross-pollinate with each other. And that's my contention. If we really need to understand how these issues are intersecting with each other, we need to build bridges. We need to exchange knowledge. And as far as the question is concerned, of course, there are limitations. We, the peace activists, did not have a lot of awareness when it came to climate change and how climate change is impacting or aggravating conflicts in our regions. But we developed that capacity. You know, we had the resources to access knowledge that gave us a clear understanding of how these two worlds or universes are conflating with each other. It is still a struggle because the peace-building literature there's not much with regards to climate in it. I mean emerging research, training materials, narratives and campaign models and simulations do not have very stringent consideration for climate issues. And now in Pakistan, my organization HIVE, we are making that effort. We are trying to build that bridge. We are trying to build a knowledge hub. And in this year, we will be supporting more than 10 projects across Pakistan that will be on the intersection of climate and peace in the country.
Here at ChangeNOW, we are surrounded with social entrepreneurs and investors. Is there something you'd like to tell them about how they can support the people who are the most vulnerable to violence and climate change in Pakistan?
Maud, it has at large been a development world agenda, peace building. I mean, most of the funds that come to the peace building world is from foundations and state development actors, yeah? Very few businesses contribute towards aggravating or addressing conflicts in our region, at least, you know? So I think there it is very important for multinational corporations, for big tech corporations, for oil and gas corporations, and many others to spend a huge proportion of their CSR money into peace-building efforts. Because you see, like climate, peace building, and the conflation of climate and peace are issues that impact everything. They impact income levels, they impact the social fabric, they impact culture, they impact employment, you know, they impact everything. So they are very holistic issues, and they need whole of a system approach to address them. And I wish and I hope that people who are representing big corporations here at this summit would think more and develop policies to spend more money on conflicts, and especially conflicts that are aggravated or promoted or increased in intensity by climate issues that are taking place in Pakistan. For example, Pakistan contributes only 0.4% to the climate change, but it is the top 10 countries which is impacted by climate change. You know, so there's a disproportionate way in which the developing world or the global south is being impacted by climate, and how that is directly increasing or intensifying the conflicts that they're living in.
Just maybe I'd like to end with one more personal question, if I may. We've seen in the news Pakistan in the headlines recently in the last few weeks, and we see that it's a very polarized country. It's also a country where it's actually dangerous to be a peace activist. What keeps you going? What continues to drive you after like more than a decade of activism?
I think it all comes back to what kind of meaning and purpose you create for your life. So for me, a meaningful life constitutes mainly of me contributing positively to the society and my neighborhood and my city and my country and my people, you know. So there's a lot of danger. Many of my friends have been killed, have been sent on exile, you know, have faced a lot of trauma. And, you know, but their sacrifice also encourages people like me to keep holding the line that we are holding for our people, you know what I mean? So I think despite the danger, the kick in it comes from the meaning that I derive out of my life. And many other peace activists working in very fragile environments, I think, dream of becoming better persons or better human beings by their meaningful contribution to the society.
Thank you, Ali, very much. Really, thank you. You're an inspiration for all of us. With this, I'd like to close this session, and I would like you to give a big round of applause to all our amazing speakers. Thank you very much.